Hey there, this is Ye Olde Battle Reps, and welcome to another Kings of War battle report. This is a 1500 point battle. We rolled for the scenario and got Invade. The first time I haven't played Kill actually, so this is quite an interesting battle for me. I'm using Elves and my opponent's using Nature with Undead allies. As usual, I'll put the army lists in the video description and I'll go over deployment now, starting with my Elves at the bottom. My Lord on Drakon is on the left hand side, a regiment of Drakons, regiment of Palace Guard, ASB behind them with the healing charm, a regiment of Stormwind cavalry by the building, a bolt thrower, regiment of archers with the heart-seeking chant, and a mage with the inspiring talisman, another bolt thrower, and another regiment of Stormwind cavalry on the hill. And at the top of the board my opponent has two hordes of earth elementals. Behind them is a greater earth elemental and a druid on foot. Then a mounted druid, a Revenant King on foot, a legion of zombies and a winged beast. Oh, and by the lake in the wood there is a regiment of hunters of the wild which he's vanguarded up into position. So I won the roll for first turn and decided to take it. On the left hand flank my Drakons and Lord advance quite cautiously, as I'm very wary of the fact that there's two druids near those elementals, so they could potentially surge a very long way. My Palace Guard advance up to the wood and they can see the hunters. Everyone in the centre stays still, and on the right hand flank the Stormwind also advance very cautiously because there's the winged beast opposite them. In shooting, the archers put 4 wounds onto the hunters, who are fine, but the bolt throwers both target the mounted druid and manage to waver him after causing 2 wounds. Nature round 1, and the left hand flank shambles forwards along with the zombies. Hunters back up. The winged beast flies to that building. It's height 4, so it can actually see over the building, which is height 3. You'll also note that the wavered druid has actually gotten closer to my lines as well. This is because my opponent pivoted him and then backed him up d3 inches, which I thought was quite clever. And in shooting, the Revenant King just surges the zombies a couple of inches forwards. So here's my round 2 movement. I charge the Palace Guard into the hunters and 1 regiment of Stormwind into the zombies. My Drakons and Drakon Lord are basically paralysed. Spent a long time trying to figure out what to do with them, and basically if they go anywhere near those elementals there's a very high probability that they'll be surged into and destroyed. I can't get behind them because of the position of that greater elemental, and even if I could get just behind them they could just turn around and surge into me anyway. So I actually back up those units and hope that I'll be able to find an opening later in the game. Similarly, my Stormwind on the other flank, they were positioned slightly wrong, so I couldn't actually go at the double through that gap without clipping the wood, which meant that I couldn't go at the double at all through it. So that was really annoying, so they were stuck. And without at the double they didn't have enough movement to get outside the winged beast's charge arc, so I just settled for pivoting them and waiting potentially for a charge. In shooting I put 2 wounds onto the winged beast, and combat sees me destroy the hunters just about with the Palace Guard, and the Stormwind put 9 wounds onto the zombies. Nature round 2. Zombies go back into the Stormwind, and 1 regiment of elementals charges the Palace Guard. The other elementals and the greater elemental just advance up, and the winged beast doesn't charge the Stormwind, it flies to their flank and facing towards the archers and bolt throwers. Nothing is surged in the shooting phase, so in combat the elementals do 8 wounds to the Palace Guard and waver them, and the zombies do 3 wounds to the Stormwind. It's Elves round 3 now, and this is where I start to lose my mind with the Drakons. So basically I could not see anywhere that they could fly without being very easily surged into, and most likely destroyed. So the only thing I could see to do after much deliberation was to fly them away from those elementals and try and get over the other side of the board, where I could be in a position later on, hopefully, to march move into my opponent's half. The reason I've had to fly towards the building at that angle is if I'd taken a less extreme angle with them and flown sort of more towards where my lord has flown, I would have been a bit too close with my flank to the other unit of elementals, and I think it would have been fairly easy for them to advance 6 inches and then get surged into my flank. So I really don't like that move with the Drakons, but I could not see any other way of going about it. My Stormwind go for that gap to try and get into the opponent's half and maybe flank the zombies, and the archers pivot towards the winged beast, and I reckon the archers and the one bolt thrower can possibly kill it this turn. The Stormwind go back into the zombies since there's nothing else for them to do, and the Palace Guard are wavered, so they can't do anything. Well, I tell a lie, I mean they could have backed up D3 inches, and in hindsight that probably would have been a good move, but I just elected not to do anything with them. In shooting, the army standard bearer heals 1 wound on the Palace Guard, the Mage gets off Bane chant on the archers, and the archers and bolt thrower do 5 wounds to the winged beast, and they just fall 1 short of wavering it, unfortunately. In combat, the Stormwind do 10 wounds to the zombies, which is actually more than they did on the charge, as zombies are only defense 3 anyway, so the fact that I've lost my thunderous charge doesn't matter too much, but I don't manage to destroy them. Nature round 3. The one horde of elementals comes round to the flank of the Palace Guard, and the other one charges into the front. Zombies go back into the Stormwind. The winged beast opts not to charge my archers or bolt thrower and just goes behind the hill to camp out there and hopefully not die. In shooting, the other horde of elementals gets quite a big surge from both the spellcasters, and they manage to get into the flank of the Palace Guard. And after combat, yeah, easily destroying the Palace Guard with both those hordes of elementals. And unfortunately I do lose the Stormwind to the zombies as well, which was probably a foregone conclusion anyway. I hadn't looked up the stats of the zombies, and in a Legion they've got 40 attacks, so yeah, they hit on 5s, but they also wound on 5s against the Stormwind, and with 40 attacks that's going to be quite a few wounds each turn. I think I was just very lucky the first turn to only suffer 3 wounds, and obviously they heal back another 2 wounds with life leech as well. Oh, and here the zombies advance after their victory. Elves round 4. My lord flies away from the enemy army. Basically I could have flown over the zombies, but they can also be surged by the Revenant King, or whatever he's called, so it wasn't really safe to do that, so I basically have to go over there. The Stormwind get through that gap and come round a bit, and the Drakons, oh my god, the Drakons. So I couldn't fly over that building from the position that I was in with only an advance move, because the 10 inches from where I wasn't enough for my bases to clear the building. So I was forced to either not do that or to go more than 10 inches and hence not be able to pivot any more than I did. So I'm just stuck at that awful angle. I mean, obviously I have to get away from the elementals, but it's just not a good place to be really, and I'm struggling to see at this stage what they can do to get out of that situation. In the shooting phase, both the bolt throwers put 4 more wounds on the zombies, bringing them up to 19 wounds total, and the archers, in the movement phase I had pivoted them slightly so they could just about see the winged beast, who is taller than the hill, but I didn't manage to put any wounds on it. And in nature round 4, everyone's just piling in towards the archers and the Drakons, and both of the units of elementals get surged slightly as well in the shooting phase. So now we're on to Elves round 5. This is the only picture I took of this round, so this is after shooting. So in the movement phase I had flown my lord well into enemy territory, and also I don't know if the Stormwind maybe have moved slightly. The archers are now going to try and head for enemy territory as well and give up on shooting. Oh, I forgot to mention in the previous turn the winged beast the enemy's winged beast had flown right into the corner of the board there. So the archers pivot and advance, and they were at risk from the zombies, but I figured hopefully I'd kill the zombies with the bolt throws, which I did manage to do in the shooting phase. My ASB is sneaking round to the flank and making for enemy territory, obviously, and the mage is going to try for that as well in the centre. And then the Drakons again, another long deliberation of what on earth I could do with them where they wouldn't just die and do nothing. And in the end I just decided that probably the best bet I've got now of actually contributing to the game, i.e. scoring some victory points at the end by being in the opponent's half, is to just turn round, hopefully weather a charge from the elementals, and if I guess if I don't die or get wavered, I might be able to just fly over the army and land in the opponent's half, possibly. So in nature round 5, the Drakons do get charged by a horde of elementals, and the greater elemental also advances towards the ASB and then gets surged into him. In combat, well, I guess no one dies, but both of my units get wavered. So the ASB by the woods there is wavered, and then unfortunately the Drakons are not going to be going anywhere fast, as they're now stuck there as well. My round 6 and my archers go at the double towards the enemy half of the board, but they're not fully within it yet, so I won't get points from them unless we go on to round 7. My mage makes it through as well. One bolt thrower has to pivot, again just hoping in case there's a round 7 I might get really lucky and maybe kill one of the hordes of elementals or something. Nature round 6, the elementals go back into the Drakons, greater elemental back into the ASB, and then one of my bolt throwers also gets charged as well. And in combat, all my guys die. And we roll for round 7 and we get it. So basically my archers advance fully into the enemy half of the board, but it doesn't make any difference for nature because they're already in my half. So the game ends there and we total up the points. I mean, obviously it looks like nature have almost certainly won, but I have scored 700 points and nature scored 1095, so it's a victory for nature. So I really enjoyed playing a scenario other than kill, and definitely want to roll for scenarios in future to get used to them. Still need to work out a better strategy for that scenario, I think, and really bad use of the Drakons, and also my opponent's positioning of his elementals and his use of surge and the positioning of, for example, the greater elemental was very good throughout the game as well, and basically prevented me from being able to use the Drakons effectively. So very well played there to my opponent, who was Fyrax on the forums. So there's a lot for me to think about in that battle, and I definitely need to work out some more movement strategies and how to use flyers more effectively, for example. So another enjoyable battle. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.